Well, hey, welcome to Cookster's Garage. Come on inside a while. Watch me while I strip paint. Well, hey, Cookster here. Welcome to another video. This is going to be a short, pretty simple, pretty easy video. I almost didn't even make this video because I just didn't. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I mechanically strip paint off of panels. I've been doing it this way for a very long time. I guess almost, well, over 30 years, a long time, longer than I want to admit to. I have used paint stripper in the past, back in in the 80s when I was young, and paint stripper works, but it's slow, it's nasty, it stinks. The good strippers stink. The paint strippers today, they took all the balls out of the paint strippers out there today, so they're not nearly as good as they were back 30 years ago. I've got some aircraft stripper I bought for a small project, and I haven't even used that stuff. Whether that aircraft stripper is any good anymore, I don't know. It used to be pretty good. I learned this from an old body man a long time ago. He taught me how he does it, and I've been doing it that way ever since. This is an air buffer. It happens to be a snap-on. This air buffer is over 30 years old. This is what I strip. I strip paint with this buffer. I cut Bondo filler with this buffer, and I buff with this buffer. For me, it's a 3-in-1 tool. But it's an air buffer, and it's variable speed. The variable speed part is the most important part of doing this. So I mechanically strip. This is an 8-inch backing pad. I use a 3M stick-it backing pads. These things are expensive. They've gotten even more expensive over the last few years, like everything else. But they're good pads. I also use the 3M stick-it paper. This is 36 grit. Yeah, I said 36. When you're stripping paint, you want to get that stuff off there and get done. So I strip with 36. This is stick-it, so it sticks to your backing pad. So what you do, you just obviously run the machine, or I got the panel pulled over. You just buffer the machine over what you're doing, and it sands the paint off. The variable speed is the important part. You cannot, I repeat, let me say it in big letters, you cannot run this thing wide open and grind paint, because you will make a mess. You will destroy that panel. You'll grind the creases off, you'll grind it. You're not grinding the panel. All you're doing is cutting the paint off. As soon as you get to the metal, move on. You got to keep this thing moving. It's like buffing. You sit in one spot long, you're going to have a mess. You're going to heat it up. You're going to make hot spots. A lot of people are going to tell me you can't do this, that you're going to burn it up and make hot spots. If you do it right, you can do it. Believe me, I've done it a lot of times, and there's a lot of other people doing this besides me. It's not just me. So I wasn't even going to make this video, and I got to thinking, well, most folks have never probably seen this done. They haven't done it. Maybe they're curious about stripping their vehicle and how people do it. Should they use stripper or not use stripper? The number one tool you got to have is a variable speed grinder, buffer, whatever. It doesn't have to be a grinder. Grinders run it, I forget the RPM. They're fast. This is a buffer, and it's variable speed. I think you can get an electric variable speed polisher, I believe. That's what I would look for. If I could read these labels, I'd tell you what the speed are on this buffer, but I don't know what it spins at. It doesn't matter. I never run this thing wide open. Never. Not even when I'm buffing. So see if you can find either air one or electric. Air, this thing eats the air up. You got to have a pretty good compressor to run one of these. It's going to eat the air up quick. If a little small, a 20-gallon tank compressor or something won't run it. So either go with electric. If you don't have a good compressor, go with electric. If you got a good compressor, try to find you an air one, because they do work better. They're more efficient. They don't get hot and all that good mess. So anyway, that's how I do it. You just run the pad over it and strip it. You got to be careful on the edges and the creases and the corners, all that good stuff. So I kind of move. I've already done this panel here. Let me move the camera in and kind of show you right quick. So hold on. I've done the top half of this panel before I put it back on the door shell, and the reason I'm doing it now, because it's a lot easier to get to the top side of the panel with it off the door shell, because when it's on the door, you got the top of the door running up through here, so you're having to work it from this side, number one, bend over, either if you got it flat or if you got it standing up. It's just easier to go ahead and get to it now, because I got good access to it right here. Perfect control. I'm not over grinding my creases or my corners or anything. And then I'll turn around more than likely and do the bottom half. But I stopped on the top half. I thought, that's when I kind of realized, yeah, I probably will go ahead and film this. So there's one skin. So here's the other one. I had stripped the upper sides a long time ago. So there's rust and a little OSPO on there. Another thing about these shells, I've got to redo the door mirrors, and I'll make another video about the door mirror saga. This truck in its life has had door mirrors in 3 different spots, I think. So anyway, that's another video. So I'm going to strip the top half of this one now, so let me get set up and I'll kind of walk you through how I do it. Alright, so I got the camera turned around where you can kind of see. So as I said, you just run, it's just like buffing. If you've ever buffed or polished a car, it's the same basic kind of movement. You're just going along the panel and letting the panel and the sandpaper do the work. As I said, do not sit in one place for any length of time. You know, maybe just a moment, okay. Never on a corner or a crease, because you'll grind that sucker right away. I can grind on corners and creases because I know how to do it. You got to be very careful. Never, let me say it again, never run this thing wide open. Never. You'll have a bad day. You can do it very slowly, and that's how I run it. I just put it on a new piece of paper. That one piece, the piece I just used, did about half of the other panel that I just showed you. It would have done more, but when you get into areas like creases where you have to use the edge of the paper, the edge is a section that gets dull the first. It's like grinding disc, you always wear the edges out first. So get you a new piece of paper, fresh piece when you're doing areas, especially like creases and stuff, because you get in there and get out. The paper's still good and sharp, brand new. Old sandpaper and stuff like this, it's got to be, you know, you can do it, but it's just, and I hate to use wore out sandpaper. It's just one of my pet peeves. So anyway, let me get the air hose. I am not going to speed this video up this time. So I'm not going to sit here and show 30 minutes of sanding. I'm going to show you a few minutes, show you the technique in real time, because speeding this up in fast forward is not going to help you a whole lot. You need to see how you do this in real time. So, and I'm not wearing a mask so I can talk to you, and I'm not making up a lot of dust anyway, so it's okay. So here we go. In the corner, in this crease, this valley, this dip, I'm just using the very edge of the paper, like I said. That's why I got a new piece of paper, so this edge is really good and sharp. You just get in there, work your way down it, and then I'm going to come back and dress over the edge I'd stripped long ago to knock this little bit of surface rust off. And you'll see how I do that too. So here we go. You can hear I'm not running this thing anywhere near wide open. It's probably not even half speed most of the time. And as I said, I like the 3M paper. The 3M paper is expensive, but it cuts really nice. Like Norton and all those papers, they're pretty good too. The Mirka, however you say it, it's pretty good paper. I just always use 3M. This stuff cuts really good when it's new, and it lasts, so that's why I just like 3M paper. Not sponsored, by the way. Alright, so as you can see, I'm running this sander very slowly. I'm sanding just the paint. I'm spending very little time on the bare metal, just enough to get the primer when I get it down to primer, and I'll show you my paint layers here in a minute, just so you'll kind of know what's going on. As soon as you get down to bare metal, keep the sander moving. If you want to go back over it to knock some more paint hot spots off, you can, but keep the sander moving. I'm not making any sparks. Those of you that are worried about using 36, there's no sparks because I'm not running it near fast enough to grind the metal. I'm just knocking the paint off. I'm going to go back over this corner over here, and then we'll keep moving that way. Now you are seeing a spark or two, maybe. That's because I'm grinding on the metal. I'm doing what I said not to do, but I'm doing it for a reason. I'm doing that to knock that rust off in the rough spot. So, you know. Around openings, around creases, around edges, you got to be real careful. Like I said, keep moving, get the speed way down, and you'll be all right. When you get to a flatter area, as I said, I'm using mostly the edge of the pad right now, in the creases, the channels, and up in here. But when you get to a flatter area, you can obviously start using the flatter sections of the pad, and it'll cut a lot faster. That's when you can increase your speed a little bit too. But again, that's wide open. You won't hear me anywhere near wide open, believe me. you saw my initial pass at it. This area here is stripped. I am going to go back over the curved area right down here, knock off that surface rust and the OSPO residue. But I'm down now to the flat panel up here where I can start, you know, using the more flat part of the panel and being a little more aggressive. But let me do this area down here. Again, you got to be really careful in here. I am running over the crease, but I'm being extremely careful not to dig in. Get a little bit of practice before you try to do this kind of stuff, but you can do it. Just takes a little technique and a little practice. You'll get there. Now I'm just going to do a real easy pass on the edge over here. Okay, there's one area left I want to talk about. I've got the door handle impression. You can't get the stripping discs down in there, obviously. So what I usually do for that is take a 2-inch grinding disc on a Rolock. And this is a trick I learned from somebody on YouTube. I don't remember who. I'd give you credit. Where you take this is a 3-inch disc, and you take them and cut them down in this octagon or hexagon, whatever this shape it is. And it gets in round corners really well. And your 3-inch discs, you get to recycle them into 2-inch discs instead of buying actual 2-inch discs. It's a great little technique. So I've already sanded that area before, but I want to hit it again. Where is it at? Right there. So I'm just going to take this disc and rough it or clean it out a little bit right quick. Again, run slow. Don't go wild running this thing wide open. Alright, that's that. And let me go ahead and do some of this upper section here. Now I can move a little bit faster and run the grinder a little bit faster. Also, while we're here, let me give you the post-mortem on why I'm stripping this paint in the first place. I'm sure it's a question a lot of you have, and it's a valid question. How do I know when I have to strip the paint? Or can I not strip the paint? Alright, backstory on this truck. I've mentioned in some of my other videos for you newer folks that don't know. My dad was the second owner of this truck. The first owner was a family we knew. He died in '74. My dad bought it from him. So this truck has been in my family since 1974. My dad drove it 30 plus years. My parents passed away in 2014, so the truck's mine now. Kind of mine and my brother's, but it's mine. It's in my possession for now. So the original paint job was that light pale Chevrolet green. You guys that know these trucks know that pale green color. That was this truck. And then in the early 80s, we painted it a two-tone green. And me and Dad, neither one were really too crazy about that green. So a few years later, I don't remember exactly why, we both decided we got to get that green off of that truck and paint it red. Because we both liked red. I had painted, by that time I was painting cars at home on the side, doing it for an all-day job. You know, I was painting, working on cars 24/7 just about back then when I was a kid. So we decided we got to paint this truck red. So I'd painted several vehicles red, and we painted this truck red. So the original green paint job was on it, and then the two-tone green paint job was on it. So I'm a big believer in you can't put too much paint on a vehicle or it's going to crack. I was taught a lot of good stuff about being a paint and body man a long time ago that some may consider now a little bit out of date and old school, but it's just the way I was taught. So I stripped all the green paint off. I stripped down to bare metal. So, and then painted it back red. And then a number of years later, after I'd gotten, married and moved out of the house, Dad had it painted again. And I know I didn't do it. I don't know who did do it. I could find out. But that second paint job, it wasn't that great of a paint job. It wasn't horrible. It just wasn't. I found lots of flaws with it, and I try not to talk bad about people, so I'm trying not to say anything, especially if it gets back to them. Just wasn't a very good paint job. So the gray is the primer. A little bit of dark gray is a layer of sealer. And this red, that's my red paint job. And then the guy that repainted it on top of me, he sprayed the whole truck with that yellow 2K primer. That's what that yellow is. I sprayed the whole truck with the red, and then he base coated it red and clear coated it red. So now I've got two paint jobs on here. One of them I don't like as far as quality goes. So that's why I'm stripping it. There's too much paint on this truck, on these panels. Plus, the last paint job is peeling and coming off. There's spots I could show you on the side of the truck where the clear is peeling off. So that's why I'm stripping it. So to answer your question, when you need how often or when do I need to strip? If you got two paint jobs, that's for me personally, that's the limit. You don't want to have three paint jobs on one skin. That's a lot of buildup. It's called millage. M-I-L-L. Millage? Mills. It's the thickness of paint. I don't know what all the numbers are and how much equals is what, but it's mentioned in mils. And there's a limit. I don't remember any of the numbers. I could go look it up. But for me personally, two paint jobs, especially if you got a lot of, if you've been priming and blocking and building up, two paint jobs is enough. The third paint job, you got to strip it and start over, which is what I'm doing here. Or if you've got a subpar paint job you paint on top of, get that off of there. If it's peeling or cracking or something like that, that's all got to be stripped. Don't sit there and don't even contemplate it. If it's stripping and cracking and peeling, get it off. Get that off of there. Now, if you're doing an Earl Shire 199 paint job, that's a different story. I'm talking about doing a nice paint job that you want to turn out nice and keep, for a number of years, that you want to look good. I'm not talking about the throwaway specials. Anyhow, that's why I'm stripping the paint. So let me put the camera back up, and I'll get to work on this area some more, and then we'll end the video. Alright, so as I said, I'm going to get up here to the more flat area of the panel, and I'm using more of the flat area of my disc paper. that's it. The top half of this skin is stripped, just like the other skin, which is over yonder. So the next step is to run the 80 DA over it. There's a DA, not a grinder. You want the DA, the dual action, the orbital action. You can see just tiny hints of gray primer still in certain spots. You want to sand all that off. I could have kept going at it with the grinder, the grinding pad, but I've got all the hard work off of there. I don't want to keep grinding and grinding. As I mentioned, you want to grind this paint off and keep moving. The 80 DA will cut that off without really grinding into the metal. I mean, you can do it with the 80 DA, but you got to be really hard at it. So the next step, as I said, will be to finish all this off with 80 DA, and then it'll be ready for epoxy primer. So that's it. The bottom half, I'm going to do off camera. I'll show you the technique. I showed it to you in real time, so hopefully you didn't get bored. It was just long enough that I kept your attention but didn't bore you. I felt like it was very important for you to see it in real time, so you kind of get the idea of how you do this. Run it and fast forward it. It skews the whatever I'm trying to say. I think you probably understand. But anyway, that's it for this paint stripping video. So that's it for this video. Short and sweet, and I hope that I didn't bore you. I tried to show just enough sanding where you wouldn't get bored, but I want you to see the process. Those of you that have never mechanically stripped before, it's a particular process. If you do it wrong, you're going to get in trouble. If you do it right, you get great results. Like I said, I've been doing it this way for a long time, a lot longer than I want to admit to. As I said earlier, the number one with a giant one, important thing is to get a variable speed polisher or grinder. Do not, I'm going to tell you again, do not get one of those big electric grinders that runs wide ass open and you can't slow it down. You're going to make a mess. You're going to ruin your panel. You're going to put too much heat in there. Don't do it. Just trust me, don't do it. Find you either an electric or a air variable speed polisher. I'm sure somebody makes one. I'd look them up for you, but I'm not. Electric or air. Air works better. It's more efficient, but like I said earlier, you got to have a pretty good size air compressor. A little 20-gallon compressor, a little shop compressor on the wheels, it won't run it. It'll eat that air up like that. So anyhow, you can do this. It's like everything else. Little practice, little patience, the right tools, you can do it. As I said before, stripping with paint stripper is a mess. And today's paint strippers aren't near what they were 30 years ago. They've taken all the good stuff out of there. And they don't work that well anymore. They work, but they just don't work that great. So I've been mechanically stripping, like I said, 30 plus years, and that's the way I do it, and it works. So if you got a vehicle that's got 2 or 3, 4, however many paint jobs on it, and you're going to repaint it, strip it. You got to strip it. If you want to do a nice, good paint job that'll last and look good past the first 6 months of trying to sell it or whatever, that's different. We're not talking about the Earl Scheib special, paint it, get it down the road at your local auto dealer's place. We ain't talking about those kind of paint jobs. I've never done that, and I won't ever do that. I'm talking about good quality, lasting paint jobs. You need to strip all that gunk off of there and start over. This is how you do it. But anyway, I'm rambling again. I keep saying that. I guess it's turned into my motto now. Anyway, I hope you can tell I feel a little bit better. My injury level's back up a little bit now. I don't feel near as bad as I did. I felt pretty bad for about a week. The allergies just kicked my behind. Anyway, as I said earlier, I'm also still gaining new viewers and new followers. To all the new folks here, thank you. Hope you stick around. Tell all your friends, your enemies, your ex-wives, girlfriends, people you like, people you don't like. Get the word out there. I'm trying to grow my channel. It's a slow process, so every subscription, every viewer, every whatever you want to throw me helps out. So anyway, that's it. Thanks again for being here. Do all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Y'all come back now, you hear? Happy stripping. Yeah, I'm crazy. I know it. Bad me. Bad me. Evil twin 1, me 0.